Okay, welcome. Today I'm going to build a character. Had some requests for doing it on stream, but since the stream's not working, I'm just gonna do it here. So I have a campaign that we're actually starting tonight. Well, they started it last week, but I was on vacation. But I'll be starting playing tonight. Where the world that we're on is a desert world, so I can't play aquatic races like tritons, that sort of stuff. And I also things like druid, circle of the ocean or coast for the land druid is banned. But the story of the world is that there were these sorcerer kings, and they were draining the magic from the world, and it became a desert. I got the idea for a druid of the forest, so circle of the land, training in the forest, who is trying to bring back the flora to the world. So that is going to be my character's motivation. It's why they're going on the quest. And so for the background stuff, I kind of came up with my own, but I'll just jump into it. So since you have my character sheet, so class, I've already decided what class I want to be. It is druid, and I'm going to start at level 1, even though the DM wants us to be level 3, but I'm going to go into leveling after this video. And then alignment, so druids can be any alignment in 5th edition, but I grew up playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, where druids had to be neutral, and I just always liked the idea of a neutral druid. They don't care much about, any sorts of like good or evil type stuff. It's more, let's make sure that nature's able to survive type things. And being neutral, it helps to make you a little bit more of a better negotiator at times. So race. Now this character sheet has a drop-down thing where I can choose races, but I can also type into here. I am going to be a Kenku. If you don't know what a Kenku is, they're kind of like bird people, but they can't fly. They're cursed, so they don't have their wings, and they're modeled after ravens. So they can't talk, but they have mimicry. And so they can mimic any sound that they've heard. And their names usually come from sounds that are associated with them. So since mine is a druid, the whole idea of this character is that they are constantly just going around trying to keep plants alive, trying to grow plants in this desert environment. And so my Kenku's name is Rustler. Oh, gotta actually type into there, or click into there. And now when my Kenku says their name, they actually just make the sound of rustling leaves because of their mimicry. Now that we have this stuff up here, I'll get to background later. Let's go to the player's handbook. So let's see. Ability scores start. Okay, so chapter 1 is step-by-step character creation. Now, usually has you choose a race and a class first. You don't have to. when I'm rolling stats, I tend not to do that. The reason that I already decided what to do is, or what class I wanted to be and what race, is because my DM wants us to do the point buy. And I'll have another video that talks about point buy versus standard array versus rolling stats. Rolling stats is my favorite. Whenever I DM, I have people roll. I like the idea of being able to have somebody who's like crazy good at one thing and might kind of be terrible at some other things. But I'll get into that in another video. Right now, so for point buy, what I want to do is come down and find this table right down here, right next to Brunner. So when you're doing the point buy, you have 27 points to spend on your ability scores. Now, every score starts at 8. So I'll go over to the character sheet, and I like to put the scores in here, and the bonuses. This one automatically populates things for me. It's kind of nice. And so all these numbers down the side are giving me what it's. Your saving throws are based on each of the individual stats. And all of these in parentheses right next to them, it says what, these are all of your skills, but it says what attribute it is connected to or dependent on. Is a better word. So knowing what, so I'm doing my stats right now for the point buy. They're all, the minimum that you can have them is 8. Anything that you leave at 8 is going to be at a -1. And if you scroll up to here, you can see, so 8 and 9 is -1. Every 2 points it goes up, you add 1 to the modifier. And that's going to change things. So if I make dexterity a 12, that becomes a +1. And you notice anything that's dependent on dexterity, like acrobatics, it's a plus. Well, let's do 14, so it's a little bit easier to see. So my saving throw for dexterity went up to +2. Acrobatics is +2 because it's dependent on dexterity. All the way down, sleight of hand and stealth are both dexterity based. They're both +2. Now, the way that when you're doing point buy, the maximum that you can put into something is 15, or that you can make a stat is 15 before racial bonuses. So, but the cost in the points that you have are on the right. Now, as a druid, I want wisdom to be very high because that's how I'm casting spells. So I'm going to make my wisdom 15. Now, because that's the highest they can go, but that costs 9 points. So I have 18 points left to spend. Dexterity is also very good because that helps increase your armor class and your initiative. I'm only going to do 14 because the Kenku gets bonuses to dexterity and wisdom, and I like having them be even. So then now that costs 7, so I have 11 points left to spend. What I want to do is bring everything to 10. So that way I don't get any negative modifiers. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, plus 9 is 17, plus 7 is 24. So I have 3 points left to spend. Now, it'll cost 2 more points to get something to level 12. So, let's see. I think I want... You know what I was talking about? Druids being very good at... at being mediators. So, charisma might not be bad, but... I think I just want to do Constitution because as a Kenku, you can understand languages really well. It's speaking them. As far as speaking a language is concerned, a Kenku can only speak based on repeating sounds that they've heard. Which I think is very interesting. Now I have 1 more point left to spend. I can get something to 11. I think taking Constitution to... Oh, Constitution up to 13 is only 1 point, so I'll go ahead and do that. So Constitution is going to stay at a +1 mod. Now what I want to do is I want to add my racial abilities. So I'm going to come to Vola's Guide to Monsters because that is where the Kenku stats are. Now, so this is a Kenku. I just think that they look awesome. I've been wanting to play one for a while now, and I think that the speech limitations is an interesting idea. It will. I think it can be a fun mechanic if used properly. I just have to make sure that it's not something that becomes too distracting for the group or slows down gameplay in any way. So all of this stuff is background information on what the Kenku are and how to name them. So I'm going to come down here to the traits. This is the stuff that's important for building your character. All this right here. That's it. That's out of all of that, this is what you need to build your character. The rest of it is necessary for role playing. But if you're just looking to try to get your character fleshed out so you can play, so you can jump into it, which is what I'm doing here, this is where you go to. So ability score increase. Your dexterity score increases by 2, and your wisdom score increases by 1. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to change dexterity to a 16. Whoops, that was... I think I changed it to 116. Wouldn't mind those stats. That is some major power gain. And then wisdom to 60. Now, my dexterity and wisdom scores just got a +3, or just went up to +3. Then, age. Kenku have shorter lifespans than humans. They reach maturity at about 12 years old and can live to 60. So I'm going to say that this person, or that this Kenku, if I scroll down a couple pages, and we'll get to that other page later. Age. I'm going to say they're about 20. Eyes. I'm going to have, or actually the picture that I'm using has red eyes. And then I'll worry about hair's black feathers. Just like a onyx color more. Okay. I'll get to the height and weight later. So back to Volo's guide. Now, I'm not worrying about alignment. Oh, size. They're around 5 feet tall, weigh between 90 and 120 pounds. So I'm going to go back here. Height, I'm going to say 5 foot. Weight, I'm going to say they're about 100 pounds. So this is they're a very light framed. And character name, Rustler. And then I'll worry about the other stuff later. Now, Rustler. Speed, your base walking speed is 30 feet. So that is the same as a human's. So that's pretty good. Now, expert forgery. You can duplicate other creatures' handwriting and craftwork. You have advantage on all checks made to produce forgeries or duplicates of existing objects. Okay, so this is an ability that I have that's not tied to the skills. So I'm going to copy this. And I can put in features and traits, I believe. So I like to put the racial features and traits that might not always come up, but are something that, something like this. So, I can duplicate other creatures' handwriting and craft work. And it's something that I can remember that I have. Don't need the Kenku training. But I don't need to I don't need to always be able to read it right away. Okay. But when it comes up, I'm going to need to be able to return back to it without opening the book. So Kenku training is the next one. I am proficient in my choice of 2 of the following skills: acrobatics, deception, stealth, and sleight of hand. Now, knowing about this world, I'm going to want deception because people who can do magic are still kind of hunted. The Sorcerer Kings left a bad taste in everybody's mouth for magic. And let's see, it was acrobatics or stealth or sleight of hand. I think I'm going to go with stealth. It's always a good idea to be a little bit stealthy if you can. Now, mimicry is another thing I'm going to want to copy. I can mimic sounds I have heard, including voices. A creature that hears the sounds you make can tell their imitations with a successful wisdom insight check posed by your charisma deception check. Now that's why I wanted charisma. Oh, I wanted the deception training. So I'll just come down here. Actually, I'm going to put that like that, and then just makes it a little bit easier to read, especially when you start doing stuff like this. And just do that. And let's clean it up a bit because it automatically has new lines in it, but they don't really line up very well. There. So I have mimicry and expert forgery. They're things that I can usually remember what they do, but if the DM asks, I need to be able to have access to the full rules for it. Now, clicking on this box means that I have training in them, which lets me add my proficiency bonus. I'll get to what the proficiency bonus is later, once I start filling in the class skills and everything. Languages, you can read and write Common and Auran. But I can only speak using my mimicry trait. So I'm going to say Common. Oh, scroll down a little bit. Other proficiencies in languages. Common and Auran. And then tools. Oh, up here I'll put languages. Tools, I'm going to say forgery kit, because if I scroll back down here, expert forgery, so I get advantage on producing forgeries. So in parentheses, I'm going to put in ADV, because that means advantage. Now we will go to the druid. Nice thing about having PDFs, I can just click on it and it will take me to it. Okay, so druid. So right here is a handy little table that tells you everything you get per level. Now I'm just doing first level. It tells me my proficiency bonus is +2. So proficiency, I'm going to put a 2 in there, and it's going to change everything that I clicked to have +2. And actually I've been thinking about it. I think I want my charisma up. So instead of constitution, I'm going to have charisma be a +3 or a +1, simply because of the deception. With my mimicry, that will come in handy, but I need a little bit more charisma so that people can, or so it's harder for people to figure out that it's me and it's not like an animal or something. Now, features, druidic spellcasting. Right here, all this is my spells. So this tells me when I learn new spells, what level I get access to spells at. So cantrips known, I have 2 cantrips that I get to choose from, and 2 first level spells. Now, and then I also get druidic and spellcasting. So, creating a druid. Now there's this handy quick build thing. You can make a druid quickly by following these suggestions. First, wisdom should be your highest ability scored, followed by constitution. I didn't go with that. I like dexterity. I figure I don't need hit points if they can't hit me. Second, choose the hermit background. Now I was actually leaning towards the hermit background, even though I'm going to be living in a city. In this world, if you're living outside of cities, you're probably going to die. But I like the idea of someone who's very reclusive, doesn't talk to people very much, and I feel like the hermit best exemplifies that. So I mostly just keep to myself, but I always have sort of like little medicines and stuff ready. So I'm not going to go by the quick build, but it's a nice thing. I am going to choose the hermit background though. So I'll come back here and choose hermit. Now, hit points. Hit dice are 1d8 per druid level. So, and hit points at first level is 8 plus your constitution modifier. Now, that's why you definitely don't want constitution to be at a negative. Hit point maximum is just 8. Current hit points is 8. And now hit dice. Total, I have 1 hit dice because I am level 1. Now I'm going to put a d8 because that tells me how many hit dice I have. Or that tells me what size the hit dice are. Oops. I am actually done with Volo's Guide to Monsters. Now, hit points at higher levels. So when you level up, it's 1d8 or 5. So a lot of people like to just take the standard thing. I enjoy rolling for my stats. It's a little bit. Sometimes you end up with less than just the standard, but I've found that I tend to roll higher, and I'll usually end up with like a little bit above the average if I'm just if I'm just rolling. Some DMs will also allow you to roll against them. So if you roll and your DM rolls, you don't see their roll, but you can look at yours and say, okay, do I want to take theirs? Now usually if I'm at least, so say I'm rolling a d8, if I'm at least at 5, I'll just take mine. Occasionally they've gotten like 1 or 2 higher than me, even though I roll at or above the average. But that way I don't, like, if I'm at or above the average, then I figure I'm doing okay with that roll. It's a good roll. If I'm getting like a 2 or a 3 or even a 1 especially, then I'll take theirs. If I'm like right at the middle, like just below, then I'm a little bit hesitant either way, but usually if you're at or above the average, just take yours. Okay, so now proficiencies. This tells me what I am trained, like what I am allowed to use as a druid. Light armor, medium armor, and then shields, but druids will not wear armor or use shields made of metal. So, down here, other proficiencies in languages. I'm going to say light and medium armor, shields, then another tools, so I can use the herbalism kit. So I'm going to say herbalism kit. And then weapons, clubs, daggers, darts, javelins, maces, quarterstaffs, scimitars, sickles, slings, and spears. Sounds like it might almost be all of the simple weapons. You're missing hand axe. Now this I'm just going to copy over because I don't want to. I don't want to have to type all of that in. And let's see. Let's do this. Armor. Light, medium, shields. Now let's see. Weapons. Actually, I'm going to get rid of these spaces because I don't want this to be too small when I'm printing it out and playing. Saving throws are intelligence and wisdom. So, come up here, click on intelligence, and I click on wisdom. Now both of those went up because I'm proficient with them, which means I get to add my proficiency bonus. Then skills, I can choose 2 from Arcana, Animal Handling, Insight, Medicine, Nature, Perception, Religion, and Survival. Now, I definitely want... So for the character, I want to choose ones that make sense for them. Being trained with an herbalism kit, I kind of want to go for medicine. Now, nature and survival are the two that I'm kind of leaning towards. I'm leaning more towards survival because we're in a desert. It's probably going to be helpful if I can find food, and survival checks are what you make. Nature would be very much in line with my character, though, because I'm trying to bring... the world's starting to normalize again. I'm trying to bring the forest back. I want, I've heard stories about the forests, I've read about them. I want to bring them back to the people of this world. But I think I'm going to go with survival. Then equipment. I start with the following equipment in addition to the equipment granted by my background. Wooden shield or any simple weapon. Now, let's see. Up here you can see sickles. Now, sickles are those little hook sort of blades that you can use to harvest things with. The idea I have for my character, so I also get a scimitar or any simple melee weapon. Now, the simple weapons that I'm choosing, because I'm going to go with the B option for both of them, I know that the quarterstaff is a simple weapon, and I'll go down to, well, let's see, we're at page 60, so if I scroll down, weapons. Quarterstaff, so simple melee weapons, a quarterstaff and a sickle are right here. So, and a quarterstaff is versatile, so if I'm holding it in both hands and using it as a two-handed weapon, then the damage dice increases to a D8 instead of a D6. The sickle is a light weapon, it's 1d4 slashing, but I'm imagining that my character uses it less as a weapon and more just, this is how I harvest my herbs, this is how I gather materials for spells, this is how they're essentially pruning shears for my character. And I just really like that idea. So I can get a quarterstaff. So right here is where I'm going to put the weapons. And a sickle. Now, attack bonus. If I look at them, one is light and one is versatile. Now, finesse is what I'd be looking for. But honestly, I'm not going to be very much a physical fighter. I have good dexterity, but unless I'm using a finesse weapon, I can't add the dexterity to my damage rolls. I add strength. But I can add my proficiency bonus, so I get a +2 to attack for both of those. Now, your proficiency bonus, so you can't add to your damage. Only strength or dexterity gets added. And dexterity gets added if it is a ranged weapon or it has the finesse. So a dagger, if I had one of those, it is a finesse weapon. So you can get a damage bonus based on dexterity. But sickle is light and quarterstaff is versatile. So for the quarterstaff, it's 1d6, and then in parentheses, I'm going to put an 8 to remind myself that it is versatile. And this is bludgeoning damage. Then the sickle is 1d4 slashing. And slashing damage. Okay. So that looks pretty underwhelming for even a first level character. Just the attack bonus is really low, but druids are they're spellcasters primarily. So now I get leather armor, an explorer's pack, and a druidic focus. What a focus does is it helps you with your spell casting. And for the rules that my DM goes by, you can use the focus instead of having components for the spells. So for a wizard, you can cast Witch Bolt. If you have your focus, you can use your focus as the kind of like a conduit for the magic. You know, the magic flows through you, it turns into the spell using the focus, and bam, you can shoot something. There was a time when I was playing a wizard, I did not have I didn't have my focus, and I had lost my my pack full of materials, spell components. Well, one of the players in the party was a monk that could there's one of the monk archetypes that lets you shoot lightning from your hands, or it's different elements, but she had chosen lightning. So I had her attack a tree, because the component for Witch Bolt is sticks or twigs from a tree that has been struck by lightning. And so in the middle of combat, I was over there gathering little twigs from this tree that I just had her shoot with lightning, so that then I could actually do something. You have some fun times with that. So Druidic, I know Druidic, the secret language of druids. You can speak the language and use it to leave hidden messages. You and others who know this language automatically spot such a message. Others spot the message's presence with a successful DC 15 Wisdom Perception check, but can't decipher it without magic. So, let's see. So under languages, Druidic. Can leave messages. Is not those who don't know Druidic spot with DC 15 perception. And I didn't put wisdom just because perception is wisdom. They're the same thing. Oh, could I have chosen perception skills? I could have chosen perception. Oh, perception is good. But I think I just want to go for medicine. Cantrips. I know 2 cantrips of my choice from the Druid spell list. So, character sheet. This is the spell list. Spellcasting class. I do not see Druid anywhere. So I'm going to say Druid. Now, spell save DC is 13, and spell attack bonus is 5. So that is found with these equations right here. So save DC is 8 plus proficiency plus your wisdom modifier. So I have a plus 3 wisdom, plus 2 proficiency, and then the 8, so that's how I get 13. Spell attack modifier is my proficiency bonus plus my wisdom modifier. So that's why that's only 5. But that's, when you're casting spells trying to hit and you have to make an attack roll for them, you can use this, which is a lot better than the +2 that I had up there for my weapons. So cantrips. And you know what? I'm pretty much done with everything. So the druid table shows how many spell slots you have to cast your spells of first level and higher. To cast one of these druid spells, you must expend a slot of the spell's level or higher. You regain all expended spell slots when you finish a long rest. Now I can prepare spells equal to the number of druids, or to my wisdom modifier plus my druid level. So my wisdom modifier is a +3 and I'm level 1, so I can prepare 4 level 1 spells a day. Druids, for their spells, so I only have 2 first level spell slots. That means that that's how many first level spells I can cast a day starting out. But I do have access to the full list of druid spells. So we'll get to that in a minute. Now let's see. Yes. So I have leather armor. And okay. Hold on. So I have leather armor, an explorer's pack, and a druidic focus. So I'm using. So armor is leather. Druidic. So I'm using my quarterstaff as a druidic focus. I'm gonna say that it's probably like yew or ash staff. Then I have an explorer's pack, and that comes with a whole bunch of equipment. Now let's see. So here's the weapons. Let's see what. Oh yes, the armor. So on page 145 in the PDF that I have, it's 136. Armor. So in light armor, leather, armor class 11 plus my dex mod. So I come here, AC is 11 for that. But if I come up here to my armor class, it's 11 plus my dex mod. So I have a 14 armor class, which is not bad at all. Now for initiative, you typically only add dexterity and proficiency bonus. My DM likes to add wisdom though. And so let's see, so I get a +8 to my initiative. And so that means I'll be going fairly close to first. Equipment packs. So an explorer's pack includes a backpack, a bedroll, a mess kit, a tinderbox, 10 torches, 10 days of rations, and a water skin. And 50 feet of hempen rope. So I'm going to copy all of this, come to my character sheet, explorer's pack, and copy it. I have a backpack, bedroll, I have a mess kit, tinderbox, 10 torches, 10 days of rations, and a water skin, and then just changing this to be a list type thing. And I actually don't need to have the Explorer's Pack thing anymore. I just have a backpack with all of this in it. Let's see. Now I want to go, let's see, about 130. Okay. So these are the backgrounds. They give you extra proficiencies, stuff like that. And, there's Hermit. So, skill proficiencies, medicine, and religion. So, I can change this to being, I'll change it to being nature. No. I really like my perception, because your passive perception, that's just, not on the lookout for anything, you're just walking around. Do you notice things going on around you? I like having a high perception, especially the passive. So, skill proficiencies, medicine, and religion. So, medicine. So I choose medicine and religion, and then tool proficiencies, herbalism kit, I already have that. Language is one of my choice. So I'm not entirely sure which language I want to choose. So, cancel. So right here, actually, I'm just going to put one language, so I can remember after talking to my DMC what kind of languages are typically found in this area. Okay, so life of seclusion. What was the reason for your isolation? What changed you to allow you to end your solitude? So, life of seclusion. So I was searching for spiritual enlightenment. I was partaking of communal living in accordance with the dictates of a religious order. I was exiled for a crime I didn't commit. I retreated from society after a life-altering event. I needed a quiet place to work on my art, literature, music, or manifesto. I needed to commune with nature far from civilization. I was a caretaker of an ancient ruin or relic. I was a pilgrim in search of a person, place, or relic of spiritual significance. Okay. So this is the nature of my seclusion. My seclusion was more inside of a town. I've already talked to my DM about this stuff. So the nature of my seclusion is, I'm kind of just a, what's the word for it? I'm less of a typical hermit. I'm more just like, I keep to myself very much. But it gives me a future discovery. The quiet seclusion of your extended hermitage gave you access to a unique and powerful discovery. The exact nature of this revelation depends on the nature of your seclusion. It might be a great truth about the cosmos, the deities, the powerful beings of the outer planes, or the forces of nature. Okay. So, personally, I'd like my discovery to be, I've learned maybe how I can bring the forest back, or a way to like get that started. So suggested characteristics. So personality traits. Now these are what go up here. Usually choose 2 personality traits and then 1 ideal, bond, and flaw. And then my DM likes to do fears. Like phobia type things. So, I've been isolated for so long that I rarely speak, preferring gestures and the occasional grunt. I am utterly serene even in the face of disaster. The leader of my community had something wise to say on every topic, and I am eager to share that wisdom. I feel tremendous empathy for all who suffer. I'm oblivious to etiquette and social expectations. I connect everything that happens to me to a grand cosmic plan. I often get lost in my own thoughts and contemplation, becoming oblivious to my surroundings. I'm working on a grand philosophical theory and love sharing my ideas. So I like number 7. I also like number 5 for my character. And number 1, maybe change it a little bit. Just because, instead of gestures and the occasional grunt, maybe it's my mimicry stuff. But maybe, I think definitely number 5. And I like number 7 a lot. So I'm going to go with both of those. So I'm oblivious to etiquette and social expectations. Then I often get lost in my own thoughts and contemplation, becoming oblivious to my surroundings. I like those. Okay, so ideals. So ideal, in the parentheses here, it's aligned with certain things. If I go to the neutral, live and let live. Meddling in the affairs of others only causes trouble. I kind of like that one. It kind of explains why my character is kind of a hermit, somewhat antisocial, inside of a large city. Bond. The bond kind of explains why you're adventuring, why you chose to stop being a hermit. So number 1, nothing is more important than the other members of my hermitage, order, or association. 2, I entered seclusion to hide from the ones who might still be hunting me. I must someday confront them. 3, I'm still seeking the enlightenment I pursued in my seclusion, and it still eludes me. That might be a good one. 4, I entered seclusion because I love someone I could not have. No, it doesn't really make sense for the character I'm building. 5, should my discovery come to light, it could bring ruin to the world. That's absolutely not what I'm doing. 6, my isolation gave me great insight into a great evil that only I can destroy. So I really like number 3. I'm still seeking the enlightenment I pursued in my seclusion, and it still eludes me. I'm just gonna paste that. Now, flaws. Now that I've returned to the world, I enjoy its delights a little too much. I harbor dark, bloodthirsty thoughts that my isolation and meditation failed to quell. No. I am dogmatic in my thoughts and philosophy. I let my need to win arguments overshadow friendships and harmony. I'd risk too much to uncover a lost bit of knowledge. I like keeping secrets and won't share them with anyone. I guess 5 makes the most sense for my character. So the lost bit of knowledge, I want to bring the forest back. I'm willing to do anything to make that happen. Now, for the spells, finally. I mentioned them earlier. So, if I go down, I believe it's 195. Well, still, I think it's 190. Okay. So, druid spells. So here are the cantrips I can choose from. Now, I believe produce flame. I know poison spray is an attacking one, so that's one I could use. Let's see, druid craft. I don't remember that particularly doing much of anything, but let's look up produce flame. Produce flame. A flickering flame appears in your hand. The flame remains there for the duration and harms neither you nor your equipment. The flame sheds bright light in a 10-foot radius. You can also attack with the flame, although doing so ends the spell. So it kind of creates light, but then it's 1d8 fire damage up to 30 feet. I like that. So for one of my cantrips, I'm going to do produce flame. Craft. Whispering to the spirits of nature, create one of the following effects within a range. Harmless sensory effect that predicts what the weather will be at your location for the next 24 hours. Make a flower blossom, a seed pod open, or a leaf bud bloom. Okay, I think I might need to go for this one. Sensory effect. Light or snuff out a candle, a torch, or a small campfire. Yeah, so I'm going to go with druid craft. But my character mostly uses it to make small plants grow and stuff. So, thing about cantrips, you can cast any number of them a day. Spell slots total for level 1 is 2. Now I need to go back to 189 because these are all of my first level spells. But just know I have access to every first level spell because it is considered divine magic. Okay, so now I have all of my spells with the magic of time travel and video editing. Suddenly they're in here. So for this you can just like check that little thing to have it prepared. Healing word is always a good one. Cure wounds. Ooh, jump might be a fun one. And then I think purify food and drink is one that I want to have. I want to have that prepared as well. So yeah, that is, and so those are what I have prepared and all that. Let's see. Then, oh yes, my background should give me some money of some kind. Let's do 128. Oh, not quite. So, yes, a scroll case stuffed full of notes from your studies or prayers, a winter blanket. That's not going to come into play. A set of common clothes, an herbalism kit, which well, it actually gives me the kit, and 5 gold pieces. So, herbalism kit. And now, when I print it up to actually use the sheet, this is going to be different, but I'm not going to have the 5 gold pieces in there. Just because then I can't erase them if I get more. Okay. well, that is that. Now I have a level 1 druid ready to go. I'll just need to save it. Under Rustler. Okay, so that is all saved and ready to go. And the next time I will go over leveling, and I will level to level 3. Which is actually how I create characters of a higher level. I will create them at level 1, and then I go step by step up to the level that we will be starting at. But I'll see you guys next time.